Mike Bohn here at UFC 280 in Abu Dhabi with American Top Team coach Mike Brown. Mike, how are we doing?
Doing great.
Good
to be in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah,
another fight week.
Yeah, out here for Mateusz Gamrot fighting Beneil Dariush on Saturday. How's he look through camp? He seems to be, just seeing him through fight week, in a very good place for this fight.
Gamrot is an absolute monster who's making giant leaps and gains. It seems like every week, every month, he's a different guy, and I think his confidence is higher than ever, and he's a force.
Yeah, Beneil's obviously, been on a nice run. He's very well-rounded and stuff. Like, what do you say is kind of the toughest part of this camp in terms of getting him prepped? Did he give you that shiner?
It was not him. Although he probably cracked me a few times. Dariush is excellent finisher, very dangerous both on the feet and on the ground. He's got big power, throws hard, kicks hard. He's always looking to finish, and he has high-level BJJ, and he's got a lot of subs as well. So he's definitely a dangerous opponent, a guy who a lot of people who thought has deserved a title shot for a while now, and maybe been overlooked a few times. But one of the absolute best in the division.
Yeah, and I think people see it that way. I don't know if you saw that tweet Khabib put out yesterday where he took a photo of him sitting behind Makhachev at the press conference, being like, these two are going to fight one day. So clearly even the great Khabib thinks that fight is coming. Maybe, if Makhachev wins, could be a title fight.
I did see that. I think he's right on the money. I think it's, two of the best guys in the division, and there's a lot of talent in there, but we'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously you got a lot of guys that you're constantly coaching, always traveling, always in the corners, but I guess let's go in kind of chronological order. Women too. Dustin Poirier, who's maybe next big one coming up, UFC 281 next month in New York. Been a long break for Dustin, 11 months. I know he didn't want it to be this long. He was ready to fight a month after the fight with Oliveira, then has been kind of chomping at the bit to get something. What have you seen from him? Is he as hungry as ever? I know right after the fight he was really disappointed, but finally be back and get a fight on this kind of card. What have you seen from Dustin in recent months?
I think any time where things don't go your way, you're extra motivated, and this is the type of thing that motivates Dustin. And no, he's to be honest, I've never seen him so motivated. He is training super hard. He can't wait to fight. He's in fight shape now, ready to peak. He's been ready to go for 2 weeks. I think it's the best Dustin we've ever seen. He's doing everything right, and I think it's a motivated guy who's got the right opponent in front of him that motivates him, who's an exciting fight, a challenging fight, a guy who's been a world champion in other divisions, and it's a fight that I think the fans want to see. So, I don't think there's a lot that gets Dustin excited, and this is one that will.
Yeah, that's interesting, right? Because I go back a long way with Dustin. You, I guess, always want to take it with a grain of salt, what they say right after the fight. But when he lost to Oliveira, it seemed like he kind of was conflicted about, do I want to try to make the climb for the third time towards the title and stuff? And I'm surprised a little bit, too, you say he's as motivated as ever. So what do you think has brought that motivation out of him? Do you feel like he still thinks he can make that climb again, and he had made the decision that, okay, I'm still going to be all in, when maybe he was indecisive about it for a bit?
Well, he knows he can beat anybody out there.
Yeah.
And Chandler is an exciting fight. It's a guy who people want to see. It's about that. Are people going to get excited to see this fight? Is he going to get excited to train for it? I think that's part of the thing. And I think this is a dangerous guy who has got a lot of, hype, well-deserving, and an exciting fighter. And every scrap DP puts on is an exciting fight of the year, fight of the fight of the week, fight of the month, whatever.
Yeah.
It's always one of those candidates of one of the best fights you're going to see, and these, you got the right dance partner, you know it's going to be fireworks. So I think that's all the stuff that gets him in the gym and makes him eager to train.
Yeah, and you mentioned the fight of the years. I think between him and Chandler, they have like 3 of the past 5 years fight of the years. So like when you are training him for this, like is it one where you're just like what it's going to be on fight night and you're kind of watching it through your fingers, or do you go in there and be like, hey Dustin, like I think if you perform technically sound, like you don't need to make it that kind of fight?
I just say try not to make it happen in the first minute.
Right.
Like let it play out a little bit. Because sometimes he has the habit of going out there and trying to get the guy out of there in 30 seconds.
Right.
And sometimes it works, but it's like you don't need to do it like that. I mean, you've got phenomenal conditioning, and you're a world-class athlete with some of the best technique of anybody out there. Like let's let it play out.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens, especially, the winner of that fight. We got a lightweight title fight coming up. It's going to be very interesting. Are you worried if, Gamrot wins, he's going to be in that top 5 too? Are you going to have one of those situations where you're going to have to start, splitting things up in the gym? I know they train a lot together.
No, I mean, I think I'm a big advocate of not having this. Guys from the same gym not fighting each other. This is something that I like. I'm strongly against. I would like for the guys in the gym to help one another. You want the guy next to you trying to make you better.
Yeah.
If there's any potential of fighting, then why would you want to help this guy? So, unless it's absolutely necessary, you're in a tournament, or, one guy's the champ and this is all we have, then at some point it has to happen. But I try to steer everything away from that type of situation anytime I can.
Yeah, good call.
It's not good for the gym.
No, for sure. I'm sure you guys.
I don't like this. Some people don't mind. Some people are like, oh, it's business. But for me, it's like, dude, you want the guy. You want your training partner to do everything he can to make you better. Yeah. Anything he sees, any technique he has, anything he can do to make you better, you want him you want them sharing knowledge. I think that's the type of atmosphere we want to create, the type of culture we want to create in the gym. We don't want guys fighting each other, in my opinion. This is something that I've felt for a long time.
Yeah, fair play. I completely see why you'd want it to be that way. 2 weeks later, pretty much in the same venue at MSG, Kayla Harrison comes back going for her 3rd straight PFL $1 million championship. Yeah. The money is obviously great for her, and she's doing amazing things. Have you seen like any dips and ups and downs in her motivation? She's fighting Larissa Pacheco, who she's already beat twice. Is it hard to get someone up in that situation, or what do you kind of see out of Kayla?
No, she's always motivated. This is one of her gifts, I think. One of her, maybe one of her best gifts is her ability to just to always learn and always try to improve, always try to get better. That's probably what, why she's where she's at. She's very motivated. She knows she's beaten Larissa 2 times, but she knows that it's a very, very dangerous opponent, probably the most dangerous opponent she's ever had. Since their last fight, Larissa's knocked everybody out in the first round, I believe. So
Yep.
it's obviously a very dangerous, and Kayla knows that. Kayla's on a very similar path where she has finished everybody but maybe one fight, but they're both elite and top of the heap in PFL and the world for that matter.
Yeah, and it seems like things after this fight are going to change for her a bit, though. It seems like there maybe not be another tournament next year in the same format. She wants to do the pay-per-view fights, the super fights. They've made her some promises. Do you think that's going to be good for her? And especially, I know the season format, it's not easy on the fighters too in terms of the training and the turnaround time. So to have her maybe on a different type of schedule, do you think that's going to be good for her?
She just wants to prove that she's the best fighter on the planet, regardless of what organization. So whatever that takes, whether that means doing single fights and bringing in some of the best fighters on the planet, that's what needs to be done, because that's all that she cares about. I mean, the tournament helps do that, and that's what we're, how we've got here today. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, she wants to be the #1 fighter on the planet, and now it's PFL's job to bring them to her. And that's what they're doing. They're doing a great job. They're throwing big money at many high-level fighters out there and trying to pull them in. and we'll see if there's any takers.
Yeah, well, they got Aspen Ladd, so that's one. We'll see what happens with her fight against Julia Budd. But would you be disappointed if, like, at the end of Kayla's career, she doesn't fight in, like, the UFC one day? Regardless if it's Amanda or whomever else. But, like, do you think she maybe needs that to get a certain level of validity to her career?
To some people might think that, but personally I don't.
Okay.
I mean, I think they need to maybe bring in some of the big names that she could fight elsewhere, but it wouldn't be any harm bringing, like, Cyborg to her. Yeah. No problem. Bring them to her and she'll knock them down. Doesn't matter where it's at. It's about beating those people. Some people might feel like it has to be under a certain organization, but I don't feel that way. But I think she's obviously the best fighter on the planet. But
yeah,
we'll see who they bring her.
Yeah, I hope they bring her in Cyborg. That would be the one. I know they're trying to throw lots of money at Cyborg, so we'll see what happens.
They're trying,
yeah,
that's for sure.
They are trying. Got to ask you too, Bohn Nickal. He's a guy that has made insane waves. Did the Contender Series fights and looked unbelievable. And man, like I was at the Bellator event like last week, and the buzz, like people just talking about him, like he's a hot topic. Like people that have nothing to do with the guy, like aren't fighting in his weight class, just like no association with his career, can't stop talking about him. Have you got that sense? Like, have you seen someone that's been at like 2-0, got 3-0, got this level of attention so early in their career?
No, I've never seen it, but I also know he's a super special guy, right? He's a super special athlete, and people know that. And he is he's performing. He's executing and performing like you'd expect from a guy like him. So then people realize, like, wow, where this guy's ceiling might be is off the charts, right? It could be just because if you understand the levels there are to wrestling and how tough college wrestling is, and the level he was in this world is above special. It's there's not a lot of guys like this. So I think this is where it's coming from. People just know what he's capable of, especially the wrestling community. Yeah. So he brings that whole community, and he's still very active in that world. He still coaches and helps at Penn State, so he's still in that room, on a regular basis. So he's still very active in that community. And then at this point, I don't think anything he's tried has failed. Like every shot he's taken he's got. Every punch he's thrown has landed. Anything that's been thrown at him has missed. So he's like pretty much, batting 100%, 1,000 on everything he's done so far. So I see where it's coming from. It's moving quickly, but he's a special guy, and we're excited to see his future. Yeah,
when you talk about a guy like that, it seems like, as you said, everything's been successful. When you look at someone like that, you're like, okay, he's amazing at being the hammer, but what happens when he's kind of a nail in that regard? What would you say to that? Like, you've obviously seen certain things in the gym, put him through scenarios. Does he have, when that time comes where he's going to have to face adversity, which at some point, whether it's one fight or 10 fights, how do you feel he's going to respond to that?
You just don't get to where he is, or you don't you don't get to where he is without being able to do it all. Like he's competed in the sport of wrestling since he was very young, and got to the highest of the highs, and he's one of the best collegiate wrestlers of all time. If you are that type of person, then you can overcome adversity. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Do you feel he calls out Khamzat? He mentions Izzy, all these people. Do you feel like that's too soon? You hear some people being like, he could beat them right now. Do you feel that way too, or like, I'm sure you're confident in him, but do you feel if this happened 5 fights down the road instead, there's no chance?
I'm confident in him, but it's like there's no reason to rush anything.
Yeah.
Of course, I think it's important to keep doing things, taking this sport as a professional, and taking your time, and making sure there's no doubt in each fight. You don't want in my eyes, I don't want a competitive fight. I'd like to see it every time him blowing guys out of the water. This is what I'd love to see, you know, and maybe he can beat these guys now, but if he waits a little bit longer, then he blows them out of the water, and that's that's what we hope for, and that's what we plan for.
Yeah, and obviously the skill is there, but like the thing about MMA is the extra layer comes with like the outside stuff too, right? Like, what do you think? How is he gonna deal with all that when he seems like kind of the UFC's dream in a regard? The clean cut American. He's obviously got the great background, all that stuff, great look, personality, all those things. There's gonna be lots of people wanting to pull him this way and this way and this way. How do you think he's gonna deal with all that as he gets bigger and bigger and bigger?
No, I think he's as level-headed as they come. He's got a great support system. He's got like a really tight-knit family. I think that, dude, he definitely has his head on his shoulders. Mm-hmm. To be honest, it's like not the norm for MMA fighters, right? Yeah. Like, he's got a really great family. They're all very supportive. They've all been supporting him since a young age. He's got that side locked down, like the mental side. There's no way this guy gets pulled in the wrong direction.
That's great to hear. Anything else coming up that's exciting you? I know Jorge Masvidal is kind of talking about wanting to be back soon. Do you expect to see him fight sooner than later?
Now, this guy he's in the lab, man, developing techniques, developing skills all the time. That's what he's doing. That's what he's hard at work right now. I say it all the time, but this guy's got more weapons than anybody, and he's always developing new tools, new tricks, and that's exactly what he's doing now. He's in the gym drilling more than anybody in there, putting in the work, putting in the time, and I mean, it's crazy to think, but he's developing a lot of new tricks and weapons. Something you wouldn't expect from a guy.
50 fights into his career.
50 fights in. No, but that's what makes him so great, and that's what he's doing right now.
Is there a fight you'd like to see him have in particular in that welterweight kind of top 5 range?
I mean, honestly, I don't care. I want it to be something exciting, something big, something people get excited about. I mean, there are a lot of guys that would make sense, but I don't know. Gilbert, Connor, Edwards, whatever. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of big ones out there. I think he's one of the biggest stars in the sport. But put him with any of these guys, and you got one of the biggest pay-per-views of all time.
Yep. And last person I wanted to ask you about, actually, Joanna Jedrzejczyk. I talked to her the other day. Last time we spoke was in Singapore right before her fight. I know obviously didn't go the way you guys wanted. She retired after, I guess, first of all. Were you surprised to see her hang up the gloves, or did you have a feeling that might be coming?
Yeah, honestly, I didn't think too much about it. I was thinking, we expected to win. You always go into every fight full confidence. We're going to win this fight. So I wasn't thinking or dwelling on what might happen if things don't go our way. But after things didn't go our way, I wasn't surprised. She's accomplished so much, and I know that I think she's done enough, and I think maybe it's time to do some other things. She's got a lot of opportunity, a lot of people knocking on her door, a lot of people saying, like, what about this, what about that? I mean, I think it's about taking care of some of these other opportunities she has, and taking some time off, but so I wasn't super surprised.
Yeah, so when I did chat with her, I asked her about Dana White's comments about wanting to put her in the Hall of Fame, and she was like, I'm not a grandma yet, that makes me feel like I'm so old, and she wasn't really talking like a fighter that feels like they're 100% done. If she came to you and was like, I want to do it again, she just signed a 6-fight contract, would you sign off on that?
I mean, of course, if that's what she wanted to do, and I mean, I think she's healthy, she has which is crazy. She's had no major injuries of all these years of fighting. Yeah, of course I would be on board, but I'd also be really content with her retiring, and hopefully we'll see her in the Hall of Fame very soon. I think she deserves it. I think she's accomplished so much with all these, 6 world title fights that she's won, and all the rest, and a pioneer, and I think she's, I should say, like first ballot, right? First.
Oh, 100%.
Shoe-in, right?
Yeah. As are you, as a coach. Well, hopefully you get in there one day. We'll see what happens. If there was an MMA Hall of Fame, you would most certainly be in there as a coach. We'll see, hopefully, as the sport grows. But yeah, man, keep doing your thing. Obviously, really appreciate the time, and we'll see you, every weekend in the corner somewhere in this world.
Yeah, see you next week.
All right, appreciate it, man.